When I look at all the characters in the events surrounding the crucifixion of Jesus in Mark chapter 15, and when I think that he died for them, the very ones who put him there, I'm amazed at the grace of God. There were the religious leaders who had falsely accused him. There was Barabbas, who was put in prison for murder, but then set free because the people wanted him instead of Jesus. There was Pilate, who was completely convinced that Jesus was innocent. He was pretty convinced that Jesus was sent by God. But in the end, Pilate was much more concerned with protecting his status and his position than he was with protecting a godly man. And so he just handed Jesus over to be crucified. There were the soldiers who beat Jesus without mercy, and then they put a crown of thorns on his head, and they mocked him. They bowed before him and pretended that they were honoring him as the king. Then at the crucifixion, they took his clothing from him, and then they sat at the foot of the cross and threw dice to see who got to keep his clothing. There were the people who taunted him, who said, if he's really the Son of God, let's see a miracle. Let him come down from the cross. Then we'll believe in him. And it says that the two thieves who were being crucified on either side of him joined in on the verbal abuse as well. Then there was Peter. Chapter 14, Peter had boldly declared and promised Jesus that he would follow him anywhere, even if it meant he had to die. But then when Jesus got arrested, in order to save himself, Peter denied 3 times that he even knew that Jesus existed. And so we look at all of those people and we say, wow, what a merciful Savior. They mocked him. They abandoned him. His own disciple who claimed to love him denies that he even knew him. And he died for them. Amazing grace indeed. But if we look at all those people and we don't see ourselves among them, it proves that we don't actually understand the gospel. Yes, sure, most of us have never physically murdered anyone like Barabbas, but how many people have we murdered by becoming angry at them in our hearts? And of course, like Pilate, we would never condemn an innocent man to die, especially a godly man. But how many times have we turned away from Jesus and what we know to be true about him in order to protect our personal interests in the world? And of course, we would never be like those wicked soldiers, mocking Jesus with fake worship and playing games to see who gets his clothes. But how many times have we sung his praises in church, when all along all we really wanted was to get something from him? We just wanted to see him do a miracle. And of course, we would never, like Peter, deny that we knew Jesus. But when we sing, Lord, I give you my heart on Sunday morning, and then on Monday we keep quiet about our faith because we're afraid that we're going to be ridiculed or rejected, is it really any different? So yeah, it's incredible that Jesus died for the sins of people like Pilate and the religious leaders and the soldiers and Barabbas. But it's just as incredible that Jesus died for people like you and for people like me. He wants to be sure that we don't miss that reality. Chapter 16, a few ladies go to the tomb because they want to anoint the body of Jesus with spices. But they didn't find Jesus there. They just found an angel. And he says, Jesus isn't here. He's risen from the dead. So go and tell his disciples. And Peter. And Peter. Tell everyone, but make sure especially that you tell Peter because he's the one that really needs to hear it. Make sure that Peter knows there's still hope. That's the heart of Jesus. Tell the ones who think that they're too far gone. Tell the ones who think that God could never possibly forgive them after everything that they've done. Tell the most hopeless. Tell the most corrupt. Tell the dirtiest. Tell the most brokenhearted. Tell the biggest failure and tell the worst hypocrite. Tell them that there's hope. Tell them that I died for them. Tell them that I rose again. Tell them that I want to fill their lives with my life, and be sure to tell them that I did it all because I love them. Tell Esther and tell Jonathan. Tell Abigail. Tell Daniel. Tell Susan. Tell Derek. And by all means, make sure that you tell Dave, because he's the one who needs to hear it more than anybody else. And when I know without a doubt that what Jesus did on the cross for the whole world, he did it for me, that's when the grace of God becomes really amazing.